Hi everyone, and welcome back to Clean Eating Kitchen. I'm Carrie,
Oh, and I'm Alan.
and this is my channel, Clean Eating Kitchen, where I share easy, gluten-free and dairy-free recipes to help you feel your best. And I'm doing a series now with my husband, Alan, and we're focusing on healthy aging. And I thought I would share maybe some tips and some of our adventures cooking and staying healthy for a household of two. Because I know I do have a lot of viewers who are older than me, maybe not older than Alan, but where you maybe are empty nesters or maybe you don't have children and so it's maybe just you and your partner. And so I think we'll just spend this time together sharing some of our tips and, as I mentioned, some of our adventures. We try to keep them focused on healthy living, but there's a fun activity coming up this weekend that hopefully we can show you. It has nothing to do with healthy living, and it's nothing that I'm interested in, but it's something that Alan's interested in. So we'll show that later. And so come along with us for the week. So I thought we'd do this Vitacost haul. I had mentioned before that I do try to order these non-perishable items online when I can at a discount place like Vitacost or iHerb or see what's the other one, Thrive Market. I'm not what do you call it, an affiliate or anything with any of these places, but I just wanted to mention, and Vitacost usually has some sales throughout the year, so I find it to be a pretty good value. I'm not 100% happy with the customer service, and the shipping can take quite a while sometime. In this case, I think I ordered this a good 6 or 7 days ago and it just came today. But let's go through it quickly in case you find it inspiring for some items you might want to try. Now, I have to avoid caffeine, but when I get a migraine or a headache, which is almost always a migraine for me, I find that caffeine can sometimes help. I also have to take prescription medicine when I get a migraine. But I also like this jasmine green tea. Most green tea to me tastes horrible, but this one I can tolerate. It has, it says medium caffeine, and so I'll have maybe a cup of coffee. If I still have a headache, I'll have some Tylenol, some my medication, then I might have some of this. If any of you have migraines, I feel your pain. It's just, they're horrible. Hoping they get better when I get into menopause. Anyways, this is my favorite granola and Alan likes it too. It's grain-free. Our functional medicine doctor has told us to try to avoid grains, kind of stick to a paleo approach, although we are eating more beans, and I'll mention that in a second. He's okay with us eating potatoes. That's not a grain. Potato is a tuber, I guess you would say, so it counts as I guess a vegetable, but I mean, I'm not going to argue that potato chips are vegetables, but these are really delicious. They're made with a healthy oil. I love everything from Siete. So we also got these chips to kind of remind me of Doritos that I ate in the 80s. And surprisingly, Alan likes these too. He normally prefers more simple flavors, or I guess you could say. I was really surprised that he liked these nacho chips. I got 2 of these, and I'm thrilled that they didn't spill, because the last time I ordered this from Vitacost, it spilled and made a huge mess. They did put it in this bag, but still, it can be very messy. And I put this in our green smoothies. It's a good source of a plant form of iron, and it just sweetens up a smoothie to make it less green. Now, moving on to beans. As I've gotten into further into perimenopause, I'm noticing now my cholesterol is going up, which I guess is really normal, but I don't want it to get out of hand. So I'm adding more beans, which is also just, beans are a great source of fiber. So I have a few sources here. This lentil pasta I really like. I just serve it with just regular marinara sauce, or maybe a pesto, a dairy-free pesto that I make. And then I saw these on the, let's see, the channel Cambria Joy. If any of you guys watch her channel, she's just so smart, and she does Thrive Market hauls, and she mentioned these jovial beans that are pressure cooked, soaked overnight and pressure cooked, and so that can make them easier to digest. So, and then they're in these glass containers. So I got black beans, kidney beans, cannellini beans, and barlotti beans, which I've never had. It looks like a big white bean. So I'll probably be making some soups or just put these on a salad. And then this, I've had this before. It looks like they changed the packaging, but it's a rice and lentil pasta spaghetti. So it doesn't have maybe as much of a kind of beany flavor, I guess you could say, because of the rice. I feel like it's just a really good texture. I really like this one. I believe this brand is also owned by this company, Jovial. Let's see. I've probably shown this before. This is, they call it coconut milk. They used to label it coconut beverage, but I think people got confused. You can see it's not the canned. So, one cup has 40 calories. So it's more equivalent to a very light coconut milk. Probably what it is coconut milk that they've watered down. But I use it just in place of milk. And I use it in baking. I use it with the granola that I mentioned. This is a staple for me. I stay away from the oat milks and even the almond milks. The oat milks, because that's a grain and can cause inflammation, at least according to my doctor. And so I stick with this, and it seems to work. And again, it works great in baking. I just substitute any milk called for in a baking recipe with this. Now, if I'm making like a curry or something where you really want that yummy coconut flavor, I'll use the canned, not this. This I stick with for other things. But that's the difference, I guess you could say. And then the last food item is this jarred cranberry sauce. I just like this as like a, what would you call it? A condiment, I guess. If we have chicken or something, I'll just serve it on the side. And Alan and I really like it. Also, because I can't remember if I've mentioned that I found out I had H. pylori a few months ago. That's like a stomach infection, and cranberries are supposed to be good for that. And maybe I'll talk about that in another video, because that's been quite a journey for me. And then I've just got some personal care products. I'm obsessed with this brand, Molly Suds. Now they have laundry pods. They used to just have powder, which was kind of, I don't know, a little bit messier. So now I'm buying the pods. And then I just found on Vitacost they have dishwasher pods. So this will be the first time I'm using those. These are all unscented, which I just try to stay away from fragrances. This is a bleach alternative. I think Molly Suds might also have something like this, but I've been using this brand called Grab Green, fragrance free. Then this is a shampoo. I think this is fragrance free, or if it does have a fragrance, it's very light, and it works really well. And then just a few other things, some feminine hygiene, organic, unscented, of course, chlorine free. And then this is the soap that Alan and I both use. So that is the Vitacost haul for this week. I don't order from them every week. I order from Vitacost probably once every 3 weeks. In discussing healthy cooking for two, I'm showing you here, this is my kitchen. Should do a proper tour at some point. But today I just want to show you the 3 appliances that I use the most often, because I do get asked quite a bit about what you need to stock a healthy kitchen. You need basics. I mean, you see my cutting boards there. I have a nice set of knives there, which I keep sharpened. I really only use about 2 of them. I use a big chef's knife and a small paring knife. But in regards to appliances, especially when talking about cooking for 2, you can see I have this crock pot that's pretty small. Here's my hand for size. I'm not sure how many quarts it is. I can look that up for you. I got this several years ago, and it's well loved. I do have 2 other crock pots. One is about twice this size, and then one's about 3 times this size. But this is perfect for a family of 2. And I have a recipe that I'm going to show you that I did this week. And then this is an Instant Pot. It's called a Duo Mini. I have another full-size crock pot, which is a 6-quart. This is a 3-quart, and it also, I feel like, is a perfect size. The only problem with this little mini Instant Pot is that most recipes you find online are going to be written for a 6-quart, and you can't just necessarily cut them in half to fit the 3-quart. You really need to find recipes that are written for a 3-quart Instant Pot. And then my last appliance is my air fryer, and really any size of air fryer will work for 2 people because they're not huge, and they essentially work like a mini convection oven. If you're not familiar, I just got this one at Costco. And this one, this small crock pot, I'll see if I can put a link in the description. And then for sure, the small Instant Pot, I'll link that in the description. I would say if I had to choose my favorite out of these 3, I would be hard pressed, to choose between the crock pot and the Instant Pot. Of course, they work very differently. Crock pot I do for full meals like chicken, steak, bean dishes, chilies. The Instant Pot I use more for rice, potatoes, and it's really taken the place of my big oven. I just don't, or even the stove top. The air fryer is really taking the place of my oven. The Instant Pot has taken place of my stove top because and I guess the crock pot too. I just don't, I don't cook boiled eggs on the stove top anymore. I cook all my hard boiled eggs in the Instant Pot, all my rice, so many different things that you can make, especially when you combine these 3. So I hope that's helpful. And I'll also link another article I have from my website, Clean Eating Kitchen, and it lists I think there's 15 healthy appliances in total that I recommend. But today I just wanted to kind of highlight these 3 when talking about cooking for 2. Or for cooking for 1, for that matter. I mentioned cooking for 2 because I am married and cook for myself and my husband, but these would also work great for a single person. You might want a smaller air fryer in that case if you are just cooking for 1, but cooking for 1 in terms of the crock pot, this would be perfect. The 3-quart Instant Pot would be perfect. And I wanted to take a minute to talk about how my interest in health and nutrition got sparked, I guess, because Alan talked about it in our last video. He talked about how he had a car accident and he was forced to quit smoking, and then he started to gain weight, and that's when he started becoming interested in nutrition. But we met quite a few years after that, and I would say he was kind of interested in nutrition, but not really super educated. And then when we met, which was almost over 26 years ago now at this point, I knew nothing about nutrition. I was in my early 20s and I exercised, but I definitely knew nothing, absolutely nothing about nutrition. I don't think I'd ever read really anything. And in school, I never took any nutrition courses or anything. So then what happened was Alan and I started dating. He took me out to dinner a lot as part of our dating or courtship, I guess you could say. And then we both started to gain some weight. So fast forward a few years after we'd gotten married, in fact, we saw the movie Supersize Me, which is kind of timely because the director, the creator of that film, recently passed away, which I was really sad to hear because I was so inspired by that movie. I thought it was so groundbreaking. It was so interesting. And it wasn't so much the journey of the protagonist in that movie, Morgan Spurlock. It wasn't so much the fact that he gained weight and felt poorly after eating McDonald's or fast food for 30 days. It was what happened at the end was when his girlfriend in the movie, I believe they later got married, she was a healthy food chef and she prepared for him all these amazing meals. And I remember just feeling really inspired by how she was cooking because I'd also never really been exposed to healthy cooking before. Of course, this was in the days before the internet and Instagram and social media and things like that, where now you can see that all the time. but that was really my first exposure, and I found it to be very inspiring. And it was also a really full circle moment because that chef, Alex Jameson is her name, she and I later became friendly. I wouldn't say friends because we don't text or chat on the phone, but we are friends on Facebook, and we have talked on the phone before, and so that was really rewarding for me. And so I just wanted to share that with you. So we are going to wrap up the week. We ended up having a busy week, and then we had a fun adventure this morning. Do you want to tell everyone what we did?
Yes. Where we live each year, they have a car show, and it's become increasingly bigger each year with lots of cars on display of all different types and a lot more visitors to our small beach community. So we went today because we discovered a trail that goes from where we live through a very pretty, actually, sort of wilderness area right to the small downtown where all the cars are located. And we had a great time. We actually bumped into some neighbors who were doing the same thing. And the part of the show that I like the most are cars that have not been altered or customized, that were, well, let's say 1970 and earlier, especially 1950 when I was in high school, 1960 when I was in college, and prior to that time, which are the older classic cars. So it was a lot of fun. There were all different types there. There were a lot of people from outside our area, of course. So in a way, it was kind of like going to the zoo.
You didn't ask me what my favorite car was.
What is your favorite car, Carrie?
I only went because I love Alan, and as many of you know who've been married for any amount of time, you do things, you kind of develop interests based on what your partner's interested in, or at least you put up with it to be supportive. So that's what I did today. But when we were having lunch after we got home from the car show, I was asking Alan what his dream car would be if there was no budget. Do you want to say what it was?
Well,
maybe other people can identify.
Yes, there are probably several cars that if I had had an unlimited budget and a place to put them and a way to maintain them, which is a big deal. I mentioned to Carrie, if I had only one choice, it would probably be a 1959 Cadillac Seville four-door hardtop, or even better, a convertible. And when Carrie said, why? I said, because I think that was the first year that General Motors, Cadillac being a General Motors brand, started with the really big fins on the car, which was the beginning of a several-year fashion trend. And another reason was my dad had a 1959 Cadillac four-door sedan, which was about the size of the Queen Mary. And I can remember sitting in the back seat when we would go for a family cruise on the pink brocade upholstery, which was like sitting in my Aunt Lena's living room. Anyway, it was just this kind of a sweet memory of that car that made me think of what I would choose.
Okay, I hope somebody out in the internet world appreciates that explanation. So I just wanted to wrap up the week. We kind of did a focus on healthy cooking for two. Probably the biggest meal I made was the Crockpot dish with chicken, where I just threw in some beans and a few other ingredients. It was extremely simple. I did end up making a rice bowl thing, which was okay. It was not as good as I expected. I think for next week, I'm going to do another kind of compilation of meals that I prepare with a focus on how I cook for Alan specifically as he's getting older, because there are some needs that seniors have. I took a class specifically on nutrition and aging, and I learned some tips and tricks during that class. This was when I was studying nutrition many years ago, but it's come in helpful, and I don't know if you heard our cat meowing, but I'm going to take that as a sign that we're going to wrap up the video, and we'll see you next week.
I hope so.
Take care. Bye.